Hello, Internet. Welcome back to Perfect Fair Day. I'm your host, Jeremiah, and next to me here is the lovely Mr. George Merchant. Uh, we thought we'd do something a little bit different today and just do like a question and answer back and forth between us, the creators, or whatnot. Just kind of open ended questions just to get us to know us better. So,
Get to know us.
yeah. So, anyway,
Fire away.
I'll throw the first one at you here, George.
All right. Let's see if I don't know.
You can elaborate as much as you want on these.
Don't tell me that because I'll talk for an hour.
You can't pass on any of them.
We'll never get past the first question. Anyway. So I don't know what these questions are. He said he's going to come up with a list. I said, okay. All right. So he didn't tell me what they are. So here we go. All right, Jeremiah, tell me what the first question is.
Okay. I guess this one's pretty basic, but what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory. Wow. Um, Gosh, it's it's probably a mix because of my concussions.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. So my concussions, I might get the time mixed around.
I
So
should have just said earliest memory, I guess.
yeah, it's
You're like, it was 2 weeks ago.
yeah. I turned 21.
It's probably like 2 minutes ago for me, honestly.
So my earliest, falling asleep on a church floor in a church in Salem, Oregon, or might be called Eugene, Oregon now. I'm not exactly sure where it sits, but or playing with my dogs, Baby and TD. I remember their names. Playing with my dogs that I grew up with.
How
When I
old
was a
was the
little
baby
kid. Um,
when she passed?
when Baby passed away, she was over 20 years old.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause I knew that dog,
Yeah.
when, what, I was 17 or 18.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I
Yep.
figured she must have lived a while. She was a medium-sized dog too.
Yeah, small to
medium
medium.
usually
Yeah.
don't live 20 years. But
Yeah. No. She was a mutt. She wasn't supposed to live through the night.
she was
Yeah.
a fun
My
dog.
mom. Yeah. Yeah. She was a great dog. And
I love the presents she used to bring to us.
she's like a cat. She'd bring us dead animals and
Yeah.
stuff. Be
The-
like, here
the-
you go.
The back half of a rabbit. I'm like,
Yeah. She's like,
what the hell?
I only ate half of it. I'm not seeing the other half. Great dog.
She was
though.
on the starvation diet.
Yeah.
The rabbit starvation diet.
Yeah.
So, I guess I'll say my earliest childhood memory. I guess it's pretty basic, but kind of weird.
I feel like this is unfair because you had a chance to prepare, but
Well,
that's okay.
true. I mean, if you want to ask different questions,
Okay. No, go ahead.
It's kind of strange. It would be the first house like my parents owned when after I was born, but I was probably like 3 or 4, and I was eating on my little, what is that? Those little trays they put you in the high seat, right?
Yeah.
And I remember eating like cut up little hot dogs. But the strange thing about it is, it was like I was looking at myself. Maybe there was a mirror in front of me, but I don't recall. Like it would have been in the kitchen. I don't know why there would have been like a full size mirror. It's just weird to me because it was like I was looking at myself. It like just sticks in my memory. I can even picture like the whole
Our
area.
our brains paint pictures after the fact
Yeah,
of stuff or whatever.
yeah. That's probably maybe
Yeah.
what it is. But I've always known my brain worked a little bit differently. So no telling like why I perceived it that way.
I won't argue with that.
Okay. Next question, I guess, would be, you could be as vague or, you know,
Or as elaborate.
as you want to be. But
Okay.
what's your career background?
Oof. All right. So, oh gosh. Okay, I'll try not to get too wordy with this. All right. So, after I served in the Navy, nuclear engineering machinist mate. Um, After I got people that aren't familiar, it's a very industrial type of background. You're working on a lot of the same things that you work on in heavy industry. Um, and we ran maintained reactor plants. I was on the Enterprise. And then after I got out, I started taking some college classes, and it took me a long time to finish my degree because I ended up going to work full time. And I basically have worked in manufacturing or heavy industry for my entire adult life. So started off on the maintenance side of things, and kind of still am on the maintenance side of things now, ish. We do controls, engineering, and upgrades and stuff like that. So mostly in automation now. So my mechanical background, not completely mechanical, like 10% electrical, 90% mechanical when I started. Now it's more like, 90% electrical and automation and programming, and then 10% mechanical maybe here and there, but maybe not even that now. But that's my background in a nutshell. So 20, how old am I now? 43, about to turn 44. So, oh gosh, 20, so 25 years. 25 years in heavy industry basically is really the way you could say that.
Yeah.
And what about you, fine sir? What's your
Let's see.
background?
Should I go over every job I have had?
Nah, you don't have to go over every job, but you can walk
I don't
through
know.
it.
My first job was cleaning up at a computer repair shop. That was an interesting enough job. Like, I was always interested in computers. I didn't really do much computer work there, though.
Oh, I just thought you did.
And then I did some bit part job during the summer under like a work study program for when I was in high school for the alumni department at the University of New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it was like my junior year, and then like I went into my senior year after that, and the woman that worked across the way, I can't remember the department. She actually was my history teacher. Really, really bizarre, like how the world, does that. But then I did 2 years of college. Didn't really get a degree out of it, but it was programming. I could have turned it into an associate's, but never did. Kind of just went into. I worked at a grocery store for like 3 years. I started out as a carryout, and then went and worked in the deli. So like I got to interact with a lot of people. It was in a small town in Texas, so got to meet people from all over the world. It's really quite interesting. I mean, I met people from the Faroe Islands, and they had a very interesting accent. Like, I've never seen anybody. I think there's less than like 5,000 people that live on the island, and they have their own language, if I understand it right. But yeah, they had a very interesting accent. They just looked a little bit different, than most other people I've seen in my life. I'm kind of rambling on, but anyway, then I think I moved to Virginia. No, I worked some more retail.
Yeah.
I worked at retail. I did a temporary job being a trash man for a little while.
I did that with you for a little bit. Yep.
But then I got in at, two different retailers, Kmart and Walmart. Worked for Walmart for 12 years, in photo mainly. Again, I got to meet a lot of people and have very interesting conversations with people from all walks of life. Because when you help them with their photos, they tend to want to talk about their photos, and it was a really interesting job. I kind of miss that part of it. I didn't miss,
the interaction with people and stuff.
I didn't miss, some of the
customer service headaches.
Yeah. Although I was always pretty good at it. I was always pretty good at handling conflict there. But then I guess I ended up coming to work for you, 4 years ago?
Yep.
And I've always had like strong computer background, so that really worked out, and I've learned a whole lot, mainly in programming and that, and
yep,
HMI design, and
I would say that you're probably the fastest person I've ever worked with as far as uptaking the fundamentals and understanding. You already understood network stuff. I didn't. I just was able to turn you loose. Software side, I didn't have to spend a lot of time. I'm just like, here's the software, figure it out. And
I guess
it's always been HMI, and your UI layouts are the best in the biz for sure.
Yeah.
So
I guess something I would like to stress, like in all the jobs that I had. I mean, it's not like I loved every job I had, but like so many people like want to complain about their work, and work isn't what defines you. You know, like it's how
No.
you afford to live, or
Yeah.
afford to do.
Yeah.
But like, if you're at work, like find a way to make it enjoyable. Like, or always be learning, right? Always be learning. Like, don't
Yep.
just be like, that's not my job. Like, be like, hey, how do you do this or that? Like,
Yeah.
that was my biggest like annoyance in different places I worked. Like if I tried to show somebody something, they'd be like, I don't want to do that. Then they'll expect something out of me. I'm like that's why I think, like you said, like I pick stuff up so fast. Because how many times have I ever told you that's not my job? I'm not going to do
Yeah.
that. I don't think I ever have said that to you.
No, that's a pet peeve of mine. I don't
Yeah,
like it when people say that either, because it's like, why not further your own skills?
yeah.
You know. But all right, next question.
Okay. What is your one true joy in life?
Ooh, it's gonna go deep. I'm gonna go deep. My one true joy in life. I have many joys in life. Okay, but if I was to place something at the top of the list, it would be my personal relationship with God. That's my faith. Because it's brought me so much truth and understanding and joy, like true joy. Um, you know, in this world, outside of that, I would have to say, um, like like my wife brings me immense joy, but it's the relationship. It's the relationships that I have with people that bring me joy. Um, I don't like money much. I'm one of those utilitarian type of people. Don't care about having fancy cars or the nicest clothes. I mean, I don't want to look, sloppy and like like I'm not. My dad always said like class isn't a matter of money. It was, you have, it's how you carry yourself. So I didn't want to be somebody that was, um, like rude and sloppy all the time and stuff like that. Not, getting dirty from working on something's fine. I mean,
Yeah,
that doesn't bother me. But so for me, the things that matter in this world to me that really like bring me joy is like seeing other people happy, like seeing that um, other people being at peace and other people laughing, and like I like putting a movie on and listening to my wife laugh for the 700th time over the same Will Ferrell joke,
yeah,
you know, or something like that. Like that brings me joy. Like I feel really good when I'm around that sort of happiness and that kind of thing. So yeah, people bring me joy, and my personal relationship with God. I couldn't just say it's just this one thing, but yeah, my faith and relationship with others, really. I think that's what brings me joy, because like I don't care about things. They just don't really make me happy.
yeah.
I hope I didn't set you up for a bad answer. What brings you joy?
Oh well, I guess it would be pretty similar. Again, like I said, I've been able to have very intimate conversations with people,
Hmm.
like many people in my life.
Yeah, I
I don't
love
know if
conversation.
people are just scared to, or like they just don't have the opportunity to. Because I mean, I've known people in my life that they just hate mankind, and I'm like, there's so much beauty in everybody if you
Hmm.
just sit and have conversations. That's part of why I want to do this. Like
Yeah.
it's a natural, beautiful thing, and to me, like my greatest joy in life is having these kind of conversations, even with a stranger. You know how I like to go out and eat? It's
Hmm.
not about eating.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's
about like
communing.
yeah,
Yeah,
just having
conversing.
a one-on-one.
Yep.
I've never been too great in big groups. You can't have that kind of
Yeah,
connection,
because you lose it. You can't have a more
Yeah.
personable
So
connection. People, what's funny is people have been drawn. People have actually been drawn to our conversations too.
yeah,
Like me and you will start talking, and it wasn't that long ago that my sister was like, I've never I've never been around people that are talking that way and stuff, because we'll have these types of conversations, and it's a little more difficult in front of the camera, and I think we're getting used to it. I think we are getting used to it, and I think other people that watch this might notice. If they watch through time, they might see it and go, "Oh yeah, they're relaxing. They're becoming more natural." But having a camera on you and then switching back and forth and getting all the technical stuff set up or whatever, it brings a different kind of tension to it. So it is becoming easier to have a natural conversation and kind of forget that they're there.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love the conversations that we have and being able to have those deep, meaningful conversations. Um, the to back you up on what you're saying, like the conversations that I have now with my wife, I absolutely adore. I
Yeah.
mean, I just love them. But to be fair, it's not always been that way.
Yeah.
It's not
Well,
always been that way.
I think
Marriages go through their times and stuff, but
I
yeah.
think people like think I'm a jerk, but I'm all about communication.
Oh
Like
yeah.
I've got to the point in my life like you can't you can't keep things in. I mean, I guess you have to watch. That's definitely something I've tried to work on. Like when
You
you're
hear people,
frustrated about something.
yeah, you hear people say that,
Yeah,
don't keep things in, but
yeah, but
then
it's hard to not.
it's really hard to
I mean,
not, yeah, because you're like, I don't want to fight. I know
yeah,
this is going to
exactly.
cause
And
a
there's
fight.
sometimes I'm like, okay, do I want to completely destroy this person? Like emotionally.
Yeah.
Like that's my like
Yeah, it gets worse if you hold it in. It,
yeah,
like there's a pressure buildup.
yeah.
Yeah. All
But
right.
anyway, so I guess the next question: what is the one belief you have always held true to and never wavered on?
Oh
I
wow,
know I'm really stepping them up.
man, you dude, you're going deep on this. The one thing I know what it is,
I'm
and
just trying to think of how to express it properly.
yes,
That's kind of a tough question.
and a lot of people, because people are going to say I'm not a logical person and stuff when I say this and everything, because and if you knew me, you would, if you spent time around me, you'd be like, wow, this is a very, very logical person.
Yeah,
And there's one thing about me that people would be like is they would think is illogical, but they haven't had my journey.
yeah,
God is real.
yeah,
God is real. That's the thing that has always been. Now I'm not always had the best relationship with God. I'm not always, you know, different verses, things like that, or whatever. I think I've expanded on my understanding of them and things like that. But one of the things that have always held true to me is that there's a creator. There's a creator, and he knows me.
yeah,
It's not some just ambiguous force that happened away. And there's enough in my life that shows I see his hand in so much. It doesn't mean I always understand it. It doesn't mean I always know what and why. Sometimes years go by and then I get to see the answers to it. That's wonderful. But yeah, that's probably you know going back to my faith and everything, is that's something since a little kid, since I was really little,
yeah.
really young. Yeah, yeah. What about you, man? What's your
Well, uh,
deepest held belief that
it's similar, but maybe not. I don't know. All life is precious to me. Like it is. Like I feel often that I have this breadth of like just breadth
breadth?
of understanding of life that I don't see a lot of people. Well, I don't know. I don't know what other people think, but when I talk to them, like, I mean, from the smallest little animal, like, it
People don't
brings me joy,
express it.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't just like view something smaller than me as like lesser than me, like, it's just, it really is like the harmony of everything. I mean, I love the universe and astronomy, but life is like something so beautifully, individually precious. Like, there might be life elsewhere, I don't know one way or another.
yeah,
Like, I'm certain there is. There's enough out there.
yeah. I think the chances
The
are
just
there
by
is.
the sheer numbers, yeah. But like,
Yeah, I think the
just the
chances are there is.
experiences I've had in life,
And
like
I back you up on that. Like I absolutely believe life is beautiful, and it
uh,
comes from
that's
that.
why it's kind of why I have a hard time really believing anything's truly evil. But
Yeah,
I think humans are probably, like the only thing that can express what I would consider truly evil, because animals if they attack something or whatever, it's because they're hungry or you threaten them, like, but
I've heard somebody use the term the banality of evil,
what does that
and
mean
um,
exactly?
so when you look at, it's more like going along with evil deeds,
Yeah.
right? So the outcome, the fruits that are born are evil. You know, um, you know, somebody has a terrible idea and it says kill all those people, attack all those people, the others or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, people either are afraid or they get caught up in it and convinced that that's the thing or whatever. But in their mind, they may have some sort of, like, they've convinced themselves of a moral superior type of position.
Yeah.
They're like, those people over there are racist, or those people over there are this or that or whatever. And I think people themselves don't view themselves as evil,
Yeah. I
but
think.
their deeds are kind of going along
Yeah.
that path. So
And I know it's not a popular thing, especially like with some people of faith, like, but we are like fundamentally
flawed.
flawed, and I mean we are animals. Like we have
Mm-hmm.
animalistic instincts, and
Mm-hmm.
like certain things set us apart
Oh
from
yeah.
the animal kingdom, and we're like responsible for it. So I don't
Yep.
think feeling like we need to devastate everything is a good idea. But on the same side, I don't think we need to kill off mankind to make sure that
Yeah.
like I'm not going to pass judgment on people in the rainforest trying to feed themselves, because they killed like a toad or whatever.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
sad
Yeah.
to me, but like they got to survive.
Yep. Yep.
So, uh, this is a weird question. Maybe you've put thought into it before, but hypothetically, if you were forced to only keep one sense, what would it be and why? One of the 5 or 6 senses. Well, 6 senses, 5. I don't know. It's arguable that there's 6, but
One sense and no others.
yeah,
Hearing.
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 Well, and why though?
Well, okay, so um, hearing can express so many different ideas,
Mhm.
and the mind. I've personally, one of my mom's foster parents, they were like, grandpa or whatever, you know, to us or whatever. But he was blind from World War II. He was
Yeah.
a World War II vet, and he was blind. And that man had so much joy, and he wasn't born blind.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was born blind and he was just used to it. No, he was fun. Gosh, he was so fun to play cards with and stuff. He had cards that had Braille on it and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things I realized is that, and I've known a lot of blind people over the years, but because of their hearing and their overdeveloped hearing, because it kind of like your body compensates, you can actually still do a decent amount of stuff. You're not completely dependent on others, and you can carry on these conversations that flow, through speech and stuff,
Mhm.
especially nowadays. Whereas if you were just, like sight or something like that, you could see beautiful images, you could, express things through like words, but it's a much slower way to communicate,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd want to be able to express myself and hear others at a pretty acceptable speed. I feel like I'd get very frustrated if I had to write things out or have things written out for me or whatever to communicate. That might
Yeah.
be tough. Or sign language or whatever. So,
Yeah.
what about you?
Well, for
What
me,
sense would you keep?
those are some good points. Sense of touch, really, because in my mind, if you can't feel the world, like it's just a moving picture, or it's a sound machine in front of you. But I do have to say, like, as far as your sound thing, like sometimes when I'm listening to really moodful music, like I have a certain set
Yeah.
of music I'd like to listen to, I can like just get in this euphoric zen state that nothing visually has ever done for me or that. But
Yeah,
yeah,
different
no,
senses.
it would be the sense of touch, because I really feel like it would be hard, if you couldn't feel the world around you,
Oh
to
yeah, it'd
even like
be tough.
realize that you truly exist, and aren't just,
Just there.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that would be tough. That would be tough. That's a strange question.
I
I'm
know.
not gonna lie. It's weird.
So, what is the most profound dream you've had, like when you were sleeping?
The most profound. Oh my goodness. The most profound dream I've ever had when I was sleeping.
Maybe you don't have vivid dreams. I think you do, though.
Oh yeah, I have vivid
I
dreams. All
know,
right.
unfortunately, I talk to some people and they don't. Like, that's
That's
kind
too
of sad to
bad.
me.
That's too bad. Vivid dreaming is actually really cool. That's one of those kind of neat things in life. Hmm. See, I have a hard time remembering them. You know, later on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I know I'm not allowed to pass on the questions, so I can't pass on the questions. But the you know how dreams are hard to explain sometimes, but you understand them when you're in them and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Um, when
Inception.
yeah, when I do remember a recurring vivid dream that the meaning of it was more felt than spoken and stuff. And that was it was like it was it was two hearts coming together basically is what it was.
Yeah.
And it was my relationship between Michelle and I.
Yeah.
And it was the healing of two broken hearts that this isn't things that we did to each other, but things that were from our past,
Yeah.
and how together we were made whole and so much more. So it was a reoccurring sort of thing, and there was like a sorrowness and a joyfulness and a beauty to it, and it was just this thing that I feel, and at this stage in my life, I wake up like in a good mood. Whereas in most of my life, I've woken up and just I'm a grouch, terrible morning
Oh,
person.
you're a grumpy person when you wake up? I wouldn't know anything about
Anybody that
that.
anybody that knows me knows, like, they're like, dude, don't wake him up. But um, but yeah, just meaningful. I guess this a beautiful, meaningful dream that I had, and the imagery changed.
Yeah.
It was like on different times and stuff. So it's hard to be very specific and say this was exactly the dream or whatever, because it occurred over time, and there was different instances of it and stuff, and it was like this hopeful thing. And but yeah, it's just this kind of beautiful thing that's just, I don't know, this dream is kind of a part of me now, I guess you
Yeah.
could
No,
say.
they definitely can be.
What about you, man?
Oh man, I have so many vivid dreams all the time. I could write a fantasy novel. And
Oh, I
people
bet.
would be interested. But
There you go.
there's one that really stands out. It was when I was younger, when I suffered from depression a whole lot. And you can interpret how you want. I have my own thoughts on it, but basically, I was like flying out, from the Earth or whatever, and then flying out past the solar system, kept going back, the galaxies, just looking out on everything. And I was
Like you're
just,
zooming out?
yeah, it was
Oh,
like
okay.
a complete peace, and there was just a voice that said everything's going to be all right. So interpret that how you want, but you could call that God or oneness with the universe. Like it was an amazing dream, really. And to this day, I picture it.
That's a
like,
cool dream.
yeah. I mean, it definitely helped me in a time of need. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I think even if you want to like talk down religion or whatever, you have to realize like we are part of like a big, beautiful, wonderful universe like that is held together by something.
Yeah.
But you want to call it the laws of physics, the beautiful laws of physics. That's fine too.
We're limited in our understanding, so.
Yeah.
But
So let's see. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to think about my answer for this one. But how would you spend your last day on Earth if you knew it was your last? Not that it was the last day for everybody, just your last day.
if I knew it was the last day,
Yeah.
and it was if I knew it was the last day, let me see. If I knew it was my last day, how would I spend it on Earth? I wouldn't change anything.
Hmm.
I wouldn't change anything. I'd carry on my day like it was any other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I would continue to I might sign some paperwork to make sure, if I knew it was my last day and I didn't want there to be some sort of legal problems or something like that afterwards. I'd make sure that was, make sure, okay, that's all good. But I think outside of that, I think I would just probably just carry on and try to fix things for people, um, try to lift other people up, you know, hug my wife, hold my wife, tell her I love her, just, you know, and be who I am. I guess that's one of the joys in life when you know when you're not so materialistic anymore. Not that I haven't struggled with that in the past. I've never been really materialistic, but there's always times where it's like I think I want more or something like that. But is that you value those connections, I guess, a lot more over anything else and stuff. So like any day could be my last day, and I could be like, well, I died a happy man. I mean, around people that I love and people that I care about, and doing something that I want to do that I feel is meaningful. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I'd probably just carry on my day.
Yeah.
Have you thought about it? It's not gonna be.
Yeah, I guess enough. I'd probably call into work.
Yeah, you call in.
I'd leave a fat stack of cash, like in my house or something for
For whoever has to clean it up.
yeah, for whoever has to take care of the funeral. But I think I'd probably go out and just do like nice things for people I don't know. Maybe just like sit down and have a conversation with somebody who looks like they're
Random.
hurting or something. And
Yeah. Just random.
yeah,
acts.
like I wouldn't really like let anybody know because it's like they're already going to suffer when I die if they feel like they're going to suffer. I'd be just as happy if I could go out into the woods and croak and rot away and go back to nature, but
Yep.
not really bother anybody with my death. But
Yeah.
most people, like somebody, it's going to affect somebody in their life. And it's sad to me that like two different people there's somebody more recent. I know I've told you about it, but in Europe. In England, I don't know how they do stuff over there, but there was another person recently that was like dead in their apartment for 2 years and nobody even noticed.
Oh, that's terrible.
But yeah, that's something that threw me off. It was like 10 or 15 years ago. This woman like died in her apartment somewhere in Europe, like England, to be specific, and she was wrapping Christmas presents for somebody.
Oh.
And who though? If like nobody even like cared to check in on her. Maybe she was just doing it. Like I just discussed, maybe she just didn't get a chance to go out. She knew she was gonna pass away, and she was gonna wrap those presents and go give them, like to kids or something. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. Okay. So, in your mind, what is the most beautiful thing?
What is the most beautiful thing? And
You
guys,
could be specific or like overarching
answers,
if you want.
The answers when you ask me these questions, the answers come to my head like that. Like my answer just jumps into my head when he asks these questions. But most of them. But I have to think about it a little bit and how to say it because I'm wanting to explain myself too. Whatever. The most beautiful thing is undoubtedly love. The most beautiful thing is selfless love, the unconditional love. It's the most beautiful thing in this world. There is no doubt in my mind that there's just nothing, to me, nothing comes as close to unconditional love. The the love for a friend, the love for your father, a mother, the love for your wife. They take on different forms, and they express themselves in different ways. Um, the way your dog looks at you and thinks you're the best thing in the whole world, you know.
Rudy.
Yeah, the unconditional love
Woohoo.
that a dog shows. But love to me is unconditional love, because there's so many people use that word for so many things now. But I would say unconditional love for me is that's the most beautiful thing for me, is like is seeing that play out. And when I see other people, like Michelle works with like elderly people now,
Mhm.
and goes and she takes care of them, and doesn't complain, and has to do some nasty tough works, job, type of things on the job and stuff, and she just shows them so much grace,
Yeah.
and it's damn, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful, man. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Mhm.
What to you, man? What would be the
It's been the same thing for quite a long time. It's like listening to somebody truly talk about what they believe in, no matter what it is, like just what they truly believe. There's just a beauty in it because it's
there
like a,
is, yeah.
it's like a openness, like there's like a raw,
When they open themselves up to you,
yeah,
yeah,
or they
sharing from
think,
like the very essence of who they are.
yeah. I mean, maybe not just to me personally, but like different churches and stuff I went to, and tried out. Like when I feel like somebody's actually speaking from their heart and not just, oh, look at
Parroting.
me, I'm up here, I want attention, like
Yeah.
when you can tell somebody's like truly, just speaking about their faith or, I guess even sometimes what they're into,
Yeah,
like some people
because they're
that don't
sharing
even
their
have faith.
connection to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Like even if it's not something I'm into, I don't act bored, like you just it's so simple to talk to people. Like if I could stress that, I'm talking to the camera now, like but it's not that hard to talk to people. Like if you just actually give them
Yeah.
a chance, like we're all pretty
Yep.
similar. We all like have wants and desires, needs that need to be taken care of, and
Yep.
fears and things that make us happy.
Yeah. We're flesh sacks,
Yeah.
but there's more to us than that.
Throw a funny question in here because I know we have talked about this one a lot. But, what would you do if you won the lottery?
Oh, okay. I think we've all considered this, right?
Yeah.
Right. We've all considered like, what would we do if we won the lottery? All right. First thing, I would just make sure that there's enough to maintain, in an interest-bearing account or something for me and Michelle, whatever, for retirement. I'd just be like, okay, well, that's taken care of. That's my, as a husband, that's my number one duty and responsibility, is that's the thing I'm supposed to do. So I take care of that first. I'd make sure that my closest friends and family aren't living in debt that's crushing them and crushing their spirit, and basically kind of that give them that offer of like, all right, I want to help you out, but this has to make you debt free, kind of thing. Like it needs to eradicate all of that to make your life better, because I feel like debt is like a form of like enslaving oneself.
Yeah.
After that, I would invest in things that make my community, state, and ultimately, country a better place to live. I'd invest in probably manufacturing type of things that help secure future jobs for future generations, and probably some technical, start up some technical trade, or expand on what we're already doing here to teach others into skills and trades and stuff, because I'm a firm believer that you need to reward those that work for it, that try, and those that don't, you don't need to reward that. They
Yeah.
need to reach for it themselves, and once they reach for them themselves and they're really struggling and really trying, then those are the people that you try to help out. So yeah, Yeah, I wouldn't just give it away, I guess, to whatever, That's,
Yeah.
especially nowadays, it seems like so many of the charities and everything like that out there are like, you know, paying their CEOs or whatever like millions of dollars a year or whatever and stuff like that, and that just seems so weird and gross to me. So,
Yeah.
but again, like I wouldn't go out and buy any fancy cars or anything like that or nothing like that. Just I don't see the point of it all. I might buy like a EV or something like that, so I don't. In the long run, I save on gas or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, that'd be it. That's it.
Okay. I'd realistically probably want to burn up the ticket, honestly.
That's a good answer.
Because winning the lottery sounds like a very big headache because you can have a bunch of people with their hand out, a bunch of people maybe wanting to see you. But
Yeah, ruining your
if you want like
relationships.
an honest answer, because I'm not going to burn up a ticket,
Yeah.
like
You're like, I won $500 million.
you would have to be altruistic with your money, like in a sense, like, and I mean, well, whatever. If it was your money, you could do whatever you want. But for me, yeah, like if you had more money than you knew what to do with, like, of course I would probably like pay off my stuff, but I've never been a person that needs to live outside of my means, like I've been dirt poor and like once I learned you need to get out of debt and not keep creating more debt for yourself, you can be happy,
Yeah,
and I
dude.
have been happy.
Like I've tried to explain that to a lot of people is that like you can be happy, like very very happy
Yeah.
and poor or whatever,
Yeah.
not with a like a whatever lifestyle you have in your mind that you think is going to be better or whatever. Like just being debt free without debt
Mm-mm.
is, oh my gosh, man, that is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you had it in your mind, because you grew up poor, but
Yeah.
I feel like I've instilled that definitely in your mind throughout
Oh
the
yeah,
years. But yeah, like I guess I'd be a little bit selfish because I would want to travel the world, but I wouldn't buy like a what is it, G6 jet or something.
yeah.
I'd probably charter a private jet because I wouldn't want to deal with, you know,
Nowadays,
yeah, with
nowadays, I
like
mean,
the annoyance of public flying.
well, it's become. Oh, it used to be so
But I think
nice.
after I trotted the globe for a little bit, I would need to keep busy. I wouldn't like just stop working. I would
Yeah.
find something maybe that I enjoyed more. Um, and yes, you'd have to invest a whole lot of it in something to you can't really put
Feel like it does
lottery
something.
amount into one bank and think
Yep.
that it's going to be secure. So I feel like this one could go a million different ways and. I don't care if you're not completely honest about it, but I'm sure you have a pretty good answer for it. But what do you fear the most?
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You dirty, dirty bastard. Now everybody's well, anybody that responds to this is gonna respond with emojis and stuff like that. I hate clowns. I hate clowns with a passion, and there is a damn good reason for it. And everybody's like, "That's just not rational. That's not rational." No, a lot of your fears arise from things that happen, whether it's genetic memory or things that happen when you were younger.
Oh, we're gonna have a whole episode about
Oh man.
not fear, but just like that
Oh man.
psychoses and stuff.
Golly, dude.
I'm gearing up for that. So.
They creep me out. Not everyone, not in every instance or whatever, but like certain creepy clown stuff or whatever. It's just ugh. I just can't. I just don't like it at all. It's not like a fear like I'm gonna run away afraid kind of fear. It's more like fear as in like really creeps me out. Like there's just something like icky. I don't know a better word for it or whatever. Just this disturbing sort of ugh. I can't stand it or whatever. Real fear though. Uh, Real fear to me is losing somebody I love to hopelessness.
Yeah.
That to me is like that's something that I would say I really fear. I fear losing others to like their own struggles and stuff and hopelessness. Like I don't want to see people fall into the abyss. I
Yeah.
just I over the years I've just seen so many people broken and hurt. Um, my parents, at a very young age, I got to be exposed to it. My parents ran a rescue mission. We were there, and they helped a lot of people over the years, and ex-cons, broken families, you name it, man. And to see somebody lost to hopelessness, man, just the oof, man, it's rough. And it feels like nowadays like there's a lot more people that are I see it a lot more now. They've kind of like embraced the darkness, so to speak.
Yeah.
They don't care if the world burns and everything with it, and things fall apart and everything, and that to me, yeah, that hurts to see that. Yeah, that's something that I don't cheer that on at all. What about you, man? What
Well,
about you?
I've definitely had a whole lot of fears in my life, but a lot of times I've faced my fears until they weren't a fear anymore. Like
That's the way to do it.
I used
Yep.
to fear tornadoes, even though, well, I had tornado dreams, even though I didn't live anywhere where there was tornadoes. But again, I have like a grasp of dreaming that's like kind of crazy. But I actually like fought a tornado in my dream and was able to overcome that fear. I know that's strange, but
No, not really. No, that's
spiders like kind of make me freeze up. But it's funny. So I never was afraid of heights, and then when I turned about 30, all of a sudden I was like gripped, just horribly gripped by the fear of heights, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I was talking to my dad, and he said I almost fell from like a 30-foot like ski lift kind of thing ride at a amusement park.
oh you
Yeah,
didn't have a recollection
yeah,
of
and
it.
when I got, because it was still there when I moved back to Utah, like I went on that ride and I'm just like, and then that's how I got in the discussion with him because that was like the worst of it. He was like, yeah, you almost fell out of that thing. I was like, oh, that's great, but I I still get a little bit queasy with heights, but I did Angel's Landing in southern Utah, and there's not a whole lot keeping you from falling half a mile, and I did it. I didn't like seize up in fear, so. It wasn't exactly climbing the side of a cliff. I don't think I'd ever want to do that. That's just like foolish. Unless like you've done it enough in your life.
Yeah.
But Angel's Landing's pretty terrifying, like because there's not guardrails to keep you literally from falling, and there's like a bunch of people like moving past. But really, truly, I fear, I fear us wiping out life on Earth. Through our inactions. Like that's the thing that.
I think our actions are more likely to do it than our inactions.
I'm sorry, I meant actions, like
Yeah.
or inactions. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah,
It
I mean, you
depends.
could say it one way or the other.
Yeah, I
Like
don't know why I said
letting
inactions, but
letting certain things play out
because,
that
like I said,
do
life,
it,
life
not
is
stopping it.
precious. Like
Yep.
we only know of life here, and even if there is life elsewhere, it's so far away that it's not, anything we'll get to anytime realistically. And that's why we need to be looking into moving to space, but I don't think we're gonna deplete our resources anytime soon.
No,
I'm
I
not
don't
that
think
kind of
that
like
either.
the.
Yeah, I don't
But
think
it
so
would be
either.
like us deciding to drop nukes on half the world. The cockroaches have survived. Maybe they'll evolve into the next greatest thing. But
You.
right, yeah. I don't fear cockroaches. They're just absolutely disgusting. And the thought of eating bugs, like I can be okay with, but not cockroaches. Like.
Blah.
Okay, so going back, it might be some of the similar things you talked about earlier. So I didn't really want to spoil it, but what are your thoughts on emotions, and are they necessary? Explain what you think, or what you think their purpose is.
So our emotions betray us. They my thoughts on emotions are logic first. It's you cannot be dictated by your emotions. That doesn't mean that I see that emotions are useless. I believe that emotions are extremely useful. I feel emotions, I express emotions, um, and I do feel like they are very, very important because we use them to communicate with this world and express ourselves. I find certain emotional expression in um, specific scenarios uncalled for, embarrassing, and completely unuseful.
Hmm.
I think that like road rage and things like that or whatever. I do believe that they have their place though because they stir us to action.
Yeah.
Many times they stir us to action. That being said, most of the time they end up stirring us to the wrong kind of action though.
Yeah.
you know it's easy to get spun up and angry. If you want to get spun up and angry, go on Twitter. um,
No, thank you.
yeah, it's a cesspool. But you uh, you make poor decisions when your emotions are really heightened, like at a height, stuff like
Yeah.
that. But at the same time, your emotions reward you as well, especially the positive emotions that you feel and express. They can be very rewarding and very rewarding to others
Yeah.
when appropriate. When they're in the right place and time. Now, that's coming from a man's point of view.
Hmm.
I understand. Men and women are built differently in this department on average,
Yeah.
and as a man, we tend to not express our emotions so freely. Um, and women tend to express their emotions more freely, but that's not a bad thing. I think that there's balance in that.
Yeah.
There's balance in that we are slightly different creatures in that regard, and I believe that that's a positive thing. I believe that's a good thing. I believe that, hey, the way we express ourselves in different situations actually is like additive. It's better. The sum of the parts, equal is greater. You know what I mean? It's greater than the sum of its parts. It's because we both have a different expression and a different way of approaching things. I think it's a good thing because if you're purely logical and there's no emotion, that's a bad thing because terrible atrocities have been committed when you just look at the logic. If we were to put a computer in charge and we said, your computer, you need to make the greenest world, safest, cleanest place possible, you know what I mean, for nature. And it'd be like beep boop boop boop. All right, kill all humans.
Yeah.
So you kind of you can't just lean on logic. You know what I mean? That's a fallacy as well. Though I value logic, more in general, and it's just case by case basis, but more in general than emotion. So
Yeah.
now your answer, bud.
Well, you answered the next question. I was gonna say, like, what is, like, if, like, purely logical, like.
Oh, I rolled
Yeah.
right into the next question
Yeah.
for
So
you
I'll,
there.
I'll answer both. Like, I definitely think emotions are important, but not all emotions. I don't think jealousy. I don't think greed.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yep.
I don't know what's another like very damaging emotion. Like,
You don't see any value in greed? None
not
at
not
all?
greed in and of itself. Not when you're concerned. I guess like any. Well, I wouldn't say any emotion. I guess if you're driven by any individual emotion, it might not be great. Like if it's misguided, except for maybe love, like true love, but and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna say like people shouldn't strive to stuff, but that shouldn't be like your basis for making decisions.
Yeah. I agree
Your
with you.
only basis.
I agree with you.
Um,
I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here because I'm not extolling the virtues of greed. I'm just saying there's an argument to be made that in society it plays a role that can be turned to positive
Yeah.
because somebody wants more and is
Yeah.
driven to have more, it may drive them to, you know, create things and opportunities that normally wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I've been a equal balance of logic and emotion in my life, like almost as equally creative as logical, because I like programming, but I also like
music,
yeah,
art,
the creativity
yeah,
of that. But
different foods. Yeah, man, that's
like I said, a lot of emotions, they're just all consuming, like if you play into them, like they're important for making decisions. But I would almost say that
that's thunder.
yeah, I don't know. I battle with it in my mind. Sometimes I do think maybe if there was like just a more logical approach to everything, like we might be better off. But you're right. I mean, just purely logical, like you probably wouldn't progress, if you
Yeah,
didn't strive, for more.
yeah,
I guess like aspiration and that like is better than greed, like
yeah.
aspiring to better your situation, you got to put the face mask on, before you put it on you should always try to help yourself. But there's some people that are so consumed by compassion that they'll like to let themselves die when that's not even necessary, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like it does need to be balanced
Yep.
in anything. But yeah,
That's my wife, by the way.
I think purely logical. Yeah, you're right. Like
That's my
we
wife,
would
by the way.
probably wipe out the world.
She said that she would put the oxygen mask on me. The plain oxygen mask fall down, and she said she'd put it on me first. I'm like, okay, so you're struggling to get it on me, and now we're both dead. I'm
Yeah.
like, put it on yourself 1st,
Mm-hmm.
then put it on me. Then we both live.
Yep.
All right.
I know you have none, but I thought I would ask it anyway. What's your biggest? What do you consider your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness?
Yes.
I was born perfect, man. Oh man. No, I have a hard time saying no to people. And it's been a struggle for me to draw boundaries. It's pretty much my whole life and stuff. I got a big heart. I'm not saying that to brag. It's just it's also cost me a lot over the years and stuff. But I'm going to continue to have a big heart. I get better at drawing boundaries and stuff because there's people that'll take advantage, even when sometimes they don't mean to, and you realize like, okay, you have to draw lines and stuff, and other people have told me that repeatedly, like tons of people have told me that you gotta learn to say no, and that's, I mean, it was a conversation today with another contractor and stuff.
I definitely have told you that a lot.
Yeah, you've told me, my wife's told me, a business partner, I mean, gosh, like, I think probably everybody here that's worked with me and stuff, my prior boss told me, he said I had mother hen syndrome. I was always protecting the guys that worked for me so much, and which wasn't a bad thing. It's just that it can lead to bad things if I'm not like careful about it and stuff. I'm actually, my biggest weakness, it really, gosh, because that is a weakness, but I think my biggest weakness, and I struggle with it a lot, is my pride. I think that I'm a prideful person.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm naturally a very prideful person, but I know that about myself. Like, I know that I'm a proud person. So, like, I there's a prayer that I say quite often, and God answers, and it's, humble me, keep me humble, because I know my weakness. I know where my weakness is.
Yeah.
And because people can say things and do things, stuff like that, that'll elicit that kind of anger response, whatever. They'll prick my pride, and I'll be like, ugh. But I've learned to, back down and just kind of detach from it or whatever, and just be like, no, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it.
Yeah.
What about you, man? What's your biggest weakness? If we're
I
gonna,
guess mine's a two-parter too. Like for sure, my confidence is something I've always struggled with. Like,
I,
you know, from an early age, I was
yep,
like,
I would
you
agree
know,
with you.
beat down with words till I wasn't good
Yep,
enough, and like I mean, I don't know. I think I would have always still been a little bit timid, but that didn't help. So it's something I would always had to try to work on.
you've come a long way.
And then the other side of that, and I don't know if it ties into that same like thought process, is like I am the person that would probably put the mask on for the other person because I'm always thinking about how my actions affect others so much so that it hurts me, like
Yeah,
because like people don't reciprocate that, and
yeah,
it becomes this cyclical thing where I'm
yeah,
like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I not regret, but like I'm angry, like when
yeah,
people like don't think about others,
yep,
and I mean I think we all could do that, but it's something I struggle with because I'm like, I'll do something to make somebody's job easier, and they'll just sit there and like not even care, like in different like places I've worked in that it's definitely like I said, being too much one way or another is not that great.
nope.
So
I think we got time for one more question, bud.
one more question. Oh
All
crap!
right, so pick one.
You suck.
Well, it's thundering outside, and if this thing cuts
What are we
off,
at?
we're gonna be lost. We're over an hour now, but if the thunder knocks us out, we're gonna lose this whole video. So
What's your pen number? No, hold on.
how about guarantee you could guess it?
I guess I'll just the last question. What is the one thing you wish you could teach or instill in any or everyone you meet, and why?
Seek wisdom first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, intelligence. Um, I'm not a dumb person. Nobody in my family is actually. Uh, there's there's a pretty good average IQ. You're a smart guy. You're a highly intelligent person. I know you have a high IQ. I know a lot of people that have high IQ. I've interacted with a lot of people. I've actually worked with many people that are on the genius scale. And one of the things that I've learned was that without wisdom, it's meaningless.
Yeah.
It's all meaningless. Like if you don't have any wisdom at all, uh, you're you're going to go through life and you can be the smartest person, book smarts. You can be the smartest investor. You can be the smartest programmer or technician. You can be the smartest businessman. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everything just is meaningless and worthless without wisdom. And that wisdom, from that wisdom will arise a deeper understanding of the world around you, people around you, more meaningful life. Because out of that wisdom, you'll gain all of the other things. It's the root of a good life. It's the root of understanding the world. It's the root of being able to see things that could go through your whole life and never recognize or see. Yeah, and it teaches you. It teaches you that you're limited, that you don't know it all, that you're not. There is no authority. There's no authority in this world on insert anything
Yeah.
here, right? There's no true authority on anything. Um, you know that we're deeply flawed and our pride gets in the way and we think we know it all and we don't. Um, you could be the richest, strongest, smartest, best looking. And I just think all of it is like worthless without wisdom. I think that you have to have wisdom. So seek wisdom.
Yeah.
And if you seek wisdom, you will find it. Anybody can find wisdom. I don't care how smart or slow you are. It doesn't matter. If you seek wisdom, you will be rewarded with it. That's one of those truths in life. I truly believe that. So, what about yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess mine's the same, really. Like, think for yourself. I guess there's wisdom in that. Like, I
Absolutely.
say that at the end of every episode, but like when I'm talking to people, I try to challenge them to think for themselves and just like think about what's going on around them. Not just read the headlines and not the body of the article
Good Lord.
and reflect on what it means or look at it and truly look at it and say, hey, why this is BS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I don't think enough people ask why, you know.
yeah, don't like. I guess on a more personal level, I try to tell people to like figure something out before asking me a question because I want them to think for themselves. Like honestly, a
Try.
lot of things you can figure out if you just spend a little bit of time.
Yeah.
It's just easier to ask
Try.
somebody and be done with it so you can go on and I don't know, daydream about something else, I guess. But
Yeah. People are distracted. Too distracted now.
I guess can I sneak one more question in?
I guess. Go ahead.
With all your experience and knowledge, what's one thing you feel like you could do to better mankind's situation?
With the
Yeah,
with the
like your knowledge.
gifts I have now.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
That kind of was an important question for all these questions because
So with the gifts I have now, I believe my knowledge and understanding of how systems work could better mankind. I do not have the resources or reach available to implement these things, but when people try to tackle problems, I'm a problem solver. I fix things. My entire career, my entire life has been about fixing things. It's always been about fixing things, solving problems. The problem that we have in today's society is that we have these problems and people are not they're not good idea people. They think they are, but they don't understand systems. They don't understand how this will have an unintended consequence here or there. They think if they just simply write a blank check, like throwing money at it will solve the problem.
mm-hmm.
And that's common tactic is to write another bill, spend some more money, let's do this, let's do that, instead of going through the nuance of how a system, how you really get to the root of it and fix it.
Mm-hmm.
If climate change is your jam and that's the thing that you want to fix, then you need to write out a plan that's actually addressing that. Like you can't just say, okay, we're just going to give tax credits for EVs. So you're robbing from the middle class to give to people that make more money that can actually afford them because they're still prohibitively expensive in the United States right now. I don't see how that solves climate change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't see how that solves. I really don't see how that solves anything, to be honest with you. But that's the nuance of demand side, supply side economics, and the amount of work that needs to go into creating an industry here that actually creates the machinery that produces our stuff. People are like, made in America, made in America, made in America, and a lot of the things like you can't even get the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
To be made here and make these things happen because these industries have been gutted so much. And instead you're over here going, we're just going to throw, whatever, how many billions of dollars at the CHIPS Act or whatever, which sounds great on its face. But I'm just like, look, man, there's nuances to this. There's things at this level. How are we addressing these things? How are we building these bridges and roads? How are we fixing these things to create the pathway to success? I understand these systems. I'm a systems guy. I mean, that's all I work on systems all the time. It's cause and effect, and this variable comes in, and that variable comes in. You can write a program, and you can even better that program as it runs by adding some more code to it, so to speak, right?
Mm.
So when we write a code for a piece of equipment, we start with a blank slate. And all we do is we take all of our inputs and outputs and we line them up first. That's the first thing we do.
Yeah.
So that we've captured our variables and then we go, okay. And then sometimes we find out about some input or output. We always include spares in our system that we didn't know about or we were unaware of because, oops, oh, here's this thing that affects it in this way. All right, let's include that. Let's go ahead and write that, piece of code to include
Yeah.
how it changes the system, how it affects the system.
Yeah.
But you see people just, like I said, just blankly write, and I could go on about this for
Yeah.
a bit because I'm passionate about it. This
Yeah.
is because this is my jam. This is the thing that I'm good at. This is the thing that I know. And I see very, very intelligent people who are, maybe experts in their field, or they're very knowledgeable in their thing, and they may have higher IQs than me. They have like a bigger, more prestigious education, or anything like that. And I'll see them say very, very, pardon me, dumb things.
Mm.
And they say it out of not knowing. It's ignorance. I know ignorance has a negative connotation. There's another word for ignorance that's not doesn't have a negative connotation, but it's not knowing. It's not like they don't mean to not know. It's just that they don't know, but because they're so confident in their own intelligence, they believe that they somehow have that knowledge. How they're somehow smarter than you are and more knowing. And I'm not saying that they're not more intelligent than me, IQ wise, or anything like that. I'm saying that they don't understand the system. You don't know what you don't know. And you're trying to make decisions, these top down decisions on stuff that is just destroying things.
Mm.
But people have it set in their mind. You have an elite class now that believes that they know it all, and they have the best experts on everything, and you're sitting there going, no, you don't. And to some of us, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say my thing, if I could do something for humanity, would be to help guide, and anybody out there that I can help, I'd be more than love to help, whether it's with legislation or anything like that. If you guys want to reach out and ask me how this would affect it, if you want to ask, like, how could we build a stronger, more lasting manufacturing base in the United States and keep it up to date, I'm here. I would love to interact with people on that scale to be able to help doing that. And I don't want any money. I don't want any money. I don't want, anything. I'm not trying to gain from that at all. I just want to help make the system better. That's it. I don't want to burn it down.
Mm.
I want to make it better because I like to build things. All right, man. It's your turn.
Okay.
You're gonna take this
I
away.
probably have quite a bit different question. I would say I would just ask people to sit down and have a conversation, or reach out to somebody if it seems like they're hurting. Because I've had a lot of conversations like where I felt like I actually helped somebody that it might have turned the tide for them. Like we have so much hurting in this world. It's so easy to lash out at somebody, or like laugh at them when they're doing something dumb, but like or that you perceive as dumb. But maybe they don't know how to do whatever, or they don't have the knowledge of why they shouldn't do something. Like take action in the moment. Like a lot of inaction has got us to where we're at now. If people would just stand up in the moment, and actually act instead of burning down cities like later on.
Yeah.
Like I just feel like we've become way too apathetic, and we don't care about the common man. Like just try to put yourself in the shoes of the people around you, or somebody you see before it's just so easy to write them off and make a funny TikTok, of you see them doing something dumb, or that you think is dumb.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's kind of the downfall of society if all we ever do is
Just mock each other.
yeah,
Yeah.
and just like sit down and have one-on-one conversations with somebody. Maybe call them on the phone
Yeah.
if you feel like you're gonna argue with them. So that's my expertise, I guess. I know you want to wrap it up, so
Well, yeah, this was a heavy one, man. I was getting to know us, I guess, kind of episode or whatever is, a little bit heavy and stuff. Normally we try to be a little bit lighter, try to crack some jokes and stuff like that. But and maybe we'll do another one of these that is a little bit lighter. So maybe I'll come up with some questions.
oh, okay.
And now I'm gonna have to come up with some questions. But We appreciate you guys tuning in, and please like and subscribe, or don't like. Just please subscribe and interact.
Yeah.
Dislike. I mean, it's if you have a disagreement with us, man, let us know. We don't have a problem with the interaction. I don't mind the discussion at all. We've got a website now, pffday.com. All of our episodes are up there, YouTube and Rumble. We really appreciate you guys, those that are tuning in, and some of you guys might be watching this into the future and looking back at this and saying, "Hey, who are these guys?" But we greatly appreciate it. And as Jeremiah would say, as always, think for yourself. Thank you, guys.